Hello, everybody. I was just streaming with you guys. We just did a 5-hour stream, and I was I stopped and I was sitting down, and then I saw the breaking news, and this is really heavy. This is really heavy, what they've done. This really upset me. This really upset me. So the Israelis, they have gone and killed a veteran journalist at Al Jazeera, right? Her name is Shireen Akleh, and this is her picture. That's her. They killed her just 2 hours ago in cold blood. In cold blood. And I saw the video, and it is absolutely horrific. I cannot show it to you. Her whole face was gone. Her whole face gone. They blew her entire face off, and then they say she was killed in a clash. Yeah, the typical, right? Typical. It's always the Palestinians' fault. My goodness. Israeli forces shot and killed a senior Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent during an army raid on Wednesday in Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, according to Al Jazeera and the Palestinian Health Ministry. So she was wearing a press vest, okay? And she was shot in the head during her coverage of the incursion and was transferred to hospital where she was pronounced dead. Another journalist, Ali Asmoadi, was working for the Jerusalem-based Al-Quds newspaper, was also wounded by a gunshot and is in stable condition. I'm sorry, it's really difficult to speak. I don't know where to start. I have so many things to show you, and this is really upsetting me. This is not, you know, they murdered her. You know, that's why in the title I did not say killed. This is murder, because the Israelis, they have a history. They have a habit of killing journalists, and she was clearly wearing press. It's absolutely enormous, and I saw them dragging her body with the face blown off, and it says press on it. It's very clear. And they shot her so precisely right in the face. And her colleagues, I'm going to show you their videos right now where they're talking about this. And this is the spot where she was killed. And you know, the Israelis, they've been raiding Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank for the past couple of weeks. And here's some of the video. You can see them during the raids this morning.
إذن استشهاد الزميلة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. ألو. ألو. ألو.
ننوه إذن للخبر العاجل على
وزارة الصحة الفلسطينية.
So these are the Israelis. They come in and they're doing supposedly, you know, counterterrorism operations, right? As they like to call them. And that includes shooting female journalists in the face and you know, it's really disgusting. And she just went to do her job. She's just covering the raid. She's very, very famous journalist, you know, in the Arab world. Very, very, very famous. And I'll show you some of her clips in a moment. But I want to go step by step. So just going back here, yeah. So Middle East Eye reporter said she and a group of 6 journalists, which includes Abu Akleh, were together when they came under fire from Israeli snipers. And the group of journalists there to cover the raid came under fire at the main entrance to the Jenin refugee camp. And there was gunfight in the alleyways of the camp, but this area is far from the roundabout. Fighters don't go there because there is no cover, and far from the house of the person Israeli forces wanted to arrest. Al Jazeera said multiple eyewitnesses confirmed that Shireen was shot shortly after arriving in Jenin refugee camp, and that there had been no fighting in the area. So this is right now in the hospital. Quote, "Wake up, Shireen." So that's the moment Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Akleh was pronounced dead after being shot by the Israelis. And it's really upsetting, you know? You can see... You see how all her colleagues, they're all wearing the vests, and it's marked press. It's so, you know, on the back, on the front, it's so crystal clear. It's so crystal clear that they are journalists, and they purposely target them. That's her. I believe that this photo is from this morning, but I'm not sure. What I can tell you is I saw the video where she after she was killed, and she's wearing the press vest. So there's no mistake about what she's doing and who she is. And this is also from, I think, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, people mourning. So they draped her body in a Palestinian flag.
بفردوسك الأبدي حيث لا بكاء ولا صراخ ولا ألم بل فرح وسلام مع ابنك الوحيد ومع الروح القدس إلى دهر الدهور.
فلنصلي. يا أبا المراحم وإله كل تعزية، يا من أحبنا حبا أزليا وحول ظلال الموت إلى فجر حياة دائمة.
Sorry, I think I was muted for a second. I just want to show you the really kind of gutter journalism, the despicable lack of reporting about her death from all of these Western outlets and corporate press. How they're purposely trying to hide that she was killed, that she was murdered by the Israelis. Look at these headlines. So this is from the New York Times. They say Al Jazeera said one of its journalists was killed in the West Bank city of Jenin during clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian gunmen. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Clashes every time. Clashes, really? Like they're trying to both sides the issue. Like, oh, it was Israeli forces and there were Palestinian gunmen and she was caught in the middle. Really? That's interesting. Why aren't all of her other colleagues shot dead? Huh? This is ridiculous. They always have to blame this like on both sides to kind of hide the fact that you have Israelis oppressing the Palestinians, singling them out. They know full well these are journalists. This is ridiculous. The idea that the Palestinians would fire at journalists that are also Palestinian. This is ridiculous. This is from NBC News. They say Al Jazeera journalist fatally shot while covering Israeli raids in the city of Jenin. They don't tell you Israel shot her and killed her. They say she was fatally shot. She was fatally shot. Ronald McDonald just came and fatally shot her while she was working. Like as if it's some kind of something that happened on the side, you know? She's fatally shot. We don't know why. We don't know by who. You're funny. Then over here, with Axios. Look at the headline that they put. They say Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh has been fatally shot while covering an Israeli military incursion. Again, who shot her? Why won't you say that she was killed by the Israelis? Why do they always hide this? Why do they always hide this? They always use this passive language. Do you think if the Russians had shot a Ukrainian journalist in the face, a woman, that they would have trouble telling you that in the headlines? Do you think they would trouble spelling that out to you? Or they would use this passive language? Oh, you know, this Ukrainian journalist was fatally shot while covering an exchange of fire between... They would never say that. You know this. You know this. Don't lie. Don't kid yourself. Here, the Jerusalem Post, they say, in footage from the scene, heavy gunfire was heard, and in one video, a Palestinian said they had struck an IDF soldier. IDF spokesperson later told Khan public broadcaster that he didn't think Israeli forces killed her. Of course he's going to say that. You know why? Because he's the spokesperson for the Israeli occupation forces. Obviously, he's not going to say, yes, we blew her face off and shot her in the face. Of course, he's not going to say that. This is so disgusting. The way that they lie and they try to hide what happened. It's really, really horrible. And I want to show you some testimonies from her colleagues. So they were with her. This is what they had to say. So this guy, Ali from Al Jazeera staff, says, Israeli soldiers shot at us directly without provocation. One bullet hit me and another hit Shireen. They killed her in cold blood. They're specialized in killing us.
انه احنا كنا داخلين نصور عمليه الجيش اغتصاب فجاه واحد اطلقوا النار علينا ما طلبوش منا نطلع ما طلبوش منا نوقف اطلقوا النار علينا الصفه الاولى اصابتني الصفه الثانيه اصابت شيرين وقتلوها بدم بارد لانهم هم
Yep. قتلوها بدم بارد. They killed her in cold blood. متخصصين بهذا الشيء. Here's another one of her colleagues.
تجمعنا انا وزملائي الصحفيين في نقطة قريبة جدا من الجيش جهزنا حالنا لابسين كل المعدات خوذي.
He said we were close to the army. We were all wearing the press and the helmet, everything, like the clothes and the symbols.
من شوي شلحت الخوذي الواقي انتظرنا شيرين تاتيجي هي وزميلنا علي كنا في المقدمة أنا وزميلتي شدة حنايشي وصلنا كشفنا حالنا للجيش. بعد ما كشفنا حالنا للجيش تقدمنا أمتار معدودة بجانب مصنع البلوك أبو صواي بس وصلنا مصنع أبو صواي صار إطلاق نار بكلهم علينا إطلاق النار لفيت وجهي أطمن عليهم ناديت الكيد شيرين على الأرض الكيد.
He said they started shooting at us, just shooting all over. I turned around and I saw Shireen was hit.
شدا إطلاق نار عليها احتميت بصور بعد ما احتميت بصور صار اطلاق نار علينا بعد ما صار عمليه اطلاق النار علينا ضل حاولنا نسعف شيرين ما قدرنا نسعفها شدا مش قادر تصلها وهي على بعد سنتيمترات انا تحت السور واطلاق النار علينا الاحتلال استهدف شيرين وهي لابسه الخوذه الاصابه تحت الاذن تحت.
He said the occupation, meaning the Israelis. In Arabic, we don't say the Israeli army, the Israeli police. It's the قوات الاحتلال, the occupation forces, because they are occupiers from Europe, from wherever. They're foreigner occupiers. And he said they purposely targeted Shireen and they shot her in the head, in the face, while she was wearing the helmet.
هدف شيرين وهي لابسه الخوذه الاصابه تحت الاذن الاصابه بهاي المنطقه كانت الاصابه الاحتلال كان مصر يقتل.
That's where they hit her, he says, in this area.
عبر القناصة وقعت شيرين وهي لابسة بريس مع ذلك من حاول الإنقاذها كان يطلق عليه النار.
They shot her while she was wearing the press symbol.
شيرين كان استهداف واضح إلها وإلنا كطواقم صحفية. علي سمودي اتصاوب كان آخر واحد اتصاوب.
He's talking about Ali, who was also hit. I think it's this guy who also, he just told us that he was hit with a bullet. He's okay though, compared to Shireen.
ومع ذلك يتمكن من قطع المسافة عن القناص وتجاوز المنطقة الآمنة. احنا ما قدرنا نسعف شيرين لوقت
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I am, I'm showing you what I'm doing right now. I have gathered news for you, and I'm showing it to you. I'm reporting to you on what just happened, and I'm showing you the testimony from the people with her. You think these guys who've literally just been shot at, they have nothing better to do than to make up stories? You're not. When you are in a state of shock like that, mentally and physically, you don't go and start making up fairy tales. Okay? You have several of her colleagues who saw what happened. They're all saying the exact same thing, that they were all wearing the clearly marked press. The Israelis saw them and they shot at them. Look.
موجودة على الأرض، ولكن حتى إطلاق النار ما توقفوا. الشباب كانوا مش قادرين يوصلوا لها من الجهة الثانية. يعني الشباب كانوا بيحاولوا إنه يوصلوا، وحتى الجب اللي نقلها، يعني المركب الخاصة اللي نقلتها بصعوبة قدرت توصلها. في شاب قفز من جدار ونزل سحبني أنا، وبعديها سحب شيرين وصار يسحب فيها. فهذا الشيء اللي يعني اللي خلانا نتاكد انه كان في استهداف لنا كصحفيين. كنا ماشيين بشكل جماعي، بمعنى كنا مجموعه من الصحفيين، المفروض انه وسيله حمايه مع كنا كلياتنا لابسين الزي الصحفي، كلياتنا كنا نرتدي. لحد الان انا لحد هذه اللحظه انا مرتدي الزي الصحفي. كنا لابسين، حتى شيرين كانت لابسه الخوذه، يعني كانت لابسه الخوذه على راسها. واضح يعني اللي قتلها يعني كان قاصد انه يصيبها في مكان هي ظاهر من جسمها مش مرتديه فيه الخوذه. فيعني انا بعتبر اللي حدث هو جريمه اغتيال إلنا، وفعليا انا.
So she's saying that was basically, an attempted murder on them, and whoever shot Shireen, like really intentionally tried to hit her where she wasn't covered, because they knew that she's wearing the helmet and she's wearing the vest, and it's all very clear. And they shot her right here. I mean, from what I saw in the video, it's absolutely horrible. Her whole face is gone. I have a really, really hard time believing that this is a typical round. This looks like something for piercing armor or something. It's crazy. It's really it's not even like, oh, we shoot them in the leg and then we find out who they are. No, it's just in the head, in the face. That is so precise and intentional. There is no doubt about this. And you see here, she's still wearing her press thing, all of them. And they're all saying the exact same thing. They all, all of her colleagues are saying that Shireen was purposely targeted. They shot at all of them on purpose.
في مكان هي ظاهر من جسمها مش مرتدية فيه الخوذة. فيعني أنا بعتبر اللي حدث هو جريمة اغتيال إلنا، وفعليا أنا يعني برجع بأكد إنه لو كنا أحد يعني أنا أو الزميل مجاهد حاول إنه يقرب، كان ممكن يتم استهدافه برضه بشكل مباشر.
It's really it's really upsetting. And here you see things like this. The Israeli military said she may have been shot by Palestinians. Wow. So they're really so disgusting, the media, and this attempt by the Israelis to say, no, we didn't shoot her, the Palestinians shot her. Really? How do you figure that? The Palestinians are going to go shoot Palestinian journalists who are covering your crimes? Really? That's really funny. They're really hilarious. They have so many creative excuses to come up with. Yeah? They're really creative. Here are some tweets I wanted to read to you. This is from the Palestinian ambassador to the UK. He said, Israeli occupation forces assassinated our beloved journalist Shireen Abu Akleh while covering their brutality in Jenin this morning. Shireen was most prominent Palestinian journalist and a close friend. Now we will hear the quote-unquote concerns of the UK government and the international community. That's it. You'll hear concerns. We express concerns. Here's another tweet. Shireen isn't just an Al Jazeera journalist. She's also a Palestinian, born in Jerusalem. She was killed by the very forces that occupy and have stolen the homeland. she dedicated her life to reporting on. May she rest in peace, and may we uplift her legacy. Here's another tweet. It says, they killed her. They killed Shireen Abu Akleh. They shot her in the head, a reporter with a lifetime of telling truth and exposing their crimes. I'm devastated. Palestine has lost an icon. She was executed wearing her vest, doing her job. Rest in peace, courageous one. Here are some videos of her that I just wanted to show you. Just random videos of her doing her job, reporting. She's very famous, and always covering, Palestinian issues with great care and detail and insight.
بتخريب وتدمير جدرانه الداخلية في شهر آذار الماضي وذلك ضمن سياسة الانتقام التي تمارسها سلطات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي.
Here's some other videos. I think the guy speaking in the background, this is from today, they're reporting on her death and people are calling in and commenting and discussing. So that's why you're not hearing her speaking. It's stuff from her reporting. Man.
عن بدء منع التجول في رام الله الليلة الساعة 10 بالليل. اليوم شو التاريخ اليوم؟ احنا اليوم 22/3 اليوم الأحد، وهلأ مجموعين على مصورة. كيف نقلبها؟ مش عارفة. فهذه اسمها ليلة الوداع.
العشاء الأخير.
If I'm not mistaken, I get the impression she's Palestinian Christian, right? Because I saw when they were carrying her body, I think there was a priest there. Yeah. Now, what can I say that I haven't already said? This is so it's so unbelievable, and you see things like this. Like Al Jazeera says that the reporter was killed by Israeli army gunfire, like as if it's like some kind of myth or fairy tale. Like Al Jazeera saying that. We don't know if it's true. Really, you're funny. They're really funny, and they act like this is not something that we have seen before, and how Israel is purposely targeting journalists all the time. Just 2 weeks ago, I showed you how they were beating a Palestinian journalist who was filming outside the Aqsa Mosque. Never mind the killings, right? So in 2014, in the war with Gaza, I don't even remember how many journalists they killed, and medics, right? It's too many to count. This is nothing new. This should not surprise you. This should not surprise you. Of course, they kill journalists. You know why? Because they don't want journalists exposing their brutality. And the sick, disgusting irony here is that Shireen, her job was covering the Israeli crimes, exposing the Israeli crimes, and then they murdered her for doing that, and the mainstream media cover for the Israeli crimes, right? Even when they kill her, they continue to cover. I'm really so I'm really so angry about this. Like every single day they are killing Palestinians. They don't leave anyone alone. The journalists, the medics, the worshippers, the Muslims, the Christians. Is there anyone that the Israelis have not beaten or killed? I'm so angry and upset every single day seeing this stuff. It's so egregious. They're so disgusting and indiscriminate, you know? They have no respect for human life. They treat Palestinians like they are ants. They just crush them every day. And they talk about, oh, we're a democracy. We're the only democracy in the Middle East. And then they go and blow journalists' fucking faces off. And the Western media, all they do is give them a pass. Oh, Al Jazeera said that she was killed by the Israelis. Maybe she was killed by Palestinians. She was fatally shot. By who? Space invaders? Like, but who shot her? Mickey Mouse? What the fuck kind of reporting is that? What is this? If that was a Ukrainian woman that was shot, you wouldn't have any problem saying the Russians shot her in the face. They killed a journalist. They don't respect freedom of the press. Why do you lack the vocabulary and the clarity to report on what happened? The Israelis killed her. They murdered her. They saw very clearly she's a journalist, and they deliberately shot her in the face. How can you justify this? How can you justify this nonsense? Where are all these women's rights, women groups, right? They always talk about feminism. When they're massacring Palestinian women and their babies, all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. They've fucked off into the wind. How convenient, you cowards. You bloody cowards. Where are all these press freedom groups? How much do you want to bet? Because when they publish the next press freedom index, they won't include her death in the number of Palestinian journalists killed. Will they even write Palestine? Occupied Palestine? What will they write? These cowards. The whole Western apparatus, the mainstream media and the NGOs, they're good for nothing. They're good for nothing. They're massacring people every single day. It really makes me so angry. It really makes me so angry. I cannot believe that they allow this. You know, if someone else had done that, they would be putting sanctions on them and all sorts of things. And then you know what they will come out with? This is if they even admit that the Israelis killed her. They'll say, oh, we express concern. Not even thoughts and prayers. Just, oh, we express concern. Shove it up your ass. Your concern. You are so... And I'm really angry. I'm really angry because there's no respect here for the Palestinians, you know? Nothing. Nothing. The women, the children, the men, the journalists, the medics, the doctors, the hospitals, everything they hit and they bomb and they kill. I don't know anyone who suffers like this on a daily basis. Who would tolerate this? Who could tolerate this kind of behavior every single day? They have to live under occupation and then the whole world just turns a blind eye and they make excuses for this. Bastards. Sorry, I don't want to swear while I'm covering her thing, but it's... So there we go. We have another veteran, another OG, one of the best Palestinian journalists, one of the best Arabic journalists. It's gone like that. And you know, they made all these obituaries and eulogies and nice, nice vigils for all the journalists killed in Ukraine. Fine, by all means, sure. You know, even me. You remember when the first ones were killed, Brent Renaud and another guy, I think from the New York Times, they were killed, the first two to be killed in Ukraine. Did I not come live with you and express sadness about that and cover it and show you? I did. And I don't like the mainstream media. I think they're liars. But that doesn't change that they're humans, you know, these guys. And one of them was just a cameraman, not even really doing anything editorial. So you see the difference is that they'll come out, the New York Times and CNN, and they'll do all these nice vigils for the journalists that they like. And then when the Israelis kill someone like Shireen, they won't even mention it. They won't even admit that she was killed by the Israelis. Never mind make a vigil and remember her. You will never ever turn on CNN tonight and see them tell you and see them talk about this. You just, it's not happening. They won't ever give you honesty and clarity and tell you the truth. They don't want to report. They are really villainous, you know, truly villainous. This is a murder, you know. This is a straight up murder, and I don't need. You know, both my parents, they worked in the UN. They saw how the Israelis in the peacekeeping. They saw how the Israelis are with journalists, with the UN staff themselves. They don't care. They will kill anyone. Go look. Don't take my word for it. Go look how they were killing UNIFIL, right? UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. They don't care. They will attack and threaten everybody. There is no limit. No limits. Ya haram. And of course, at the same time, what are the Israelis doing? They're bombing Syria. Right now, just an hour ago, 2 hours ago, they're bombing Syria at the same time. So, again, very funny, right? The whole world dropping on their knees and then bending over backwards to help Ukraine. Okay, great. And they talk about sovereignty and they talk about international law and they talk about all these nice big principles and democracy and European values, Western values. And then the same day, at the same time, simultaneously, Israel is killing journalists. Israel is violating Syrian sovereignty and bombing Syria and committing acts of aggression against Syria and acts of aggression against the Palestinians 10 times, 100 times more every day. And they say nothing because they are the ones paying for this. The US, the UK, the European Union, they are the ones bankrolling Israel. They are the ones giving Israel its money. This is what the United States does, right? So when Ilhan Omar last year in July, she votes to give Israel $3.8 billion, that's what it goes to. It goes towards murdering journalists. And that's, of course, one aspect of the occupation. Never mind all the other affronts on the Palestinian people that we see day to day that I cannot even list because there are too many, right? That's what these progressives get you in the United States and in Europe. They're frauds, straight up frauds, right? Oh yeah, we support with the Palestinians. We stand with them. You have to be about it. What is this garbage that is coming out of your mouth? Why don't you actually grow some balls and grow a spine and really stand up for the Palestinians in the beast of the belly where you are? No, they won't do that because they're looking out for their careers. You can't criticize Israel in the media. You can't criticize Israel in Congress. You can't criticize Israel in Westminster. This is faux pas. You can't criticize Israel in Brussels. No. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. Oh, you're a terrorist sympathizer. Oh, you're being unfair. And this is how it goes on. 70 plus years of this garbage. 70 plus years of this nonsense, these apologists for settler colonialism. This is what you get when you have a settler colony. They treat the occupied people like dirt. They don't even consider them as humans. So for them, when they're blowing off a Palestinian's head, this is fine because they don't see the Palestinian as equal or as a human. And then they talk about Western values and shared values. What shared values? I guess I see the shared values, in how you attack journalists in England and in the US and in Palestine. Sure, I see the shared values. I should say occupied Palestine. And I want to say one thing that maybe not a lot of people are going to think about, but her colleagues, so he was shot, he was hit by one bullet while Shireen was killed. And he was also shot at, and she was also shot at. These guys are probably going to have some kind of trauma. I really hope they don't, but is very, very likely, very possible they could have some kind of, mental scars from this. And how could you blame them, right? So it's not just they killed Shireen, they also, they took a part of the soul of all of her colleagues, her family, of course. I mean, her family, I don't even know what they are going through right now. And they killed a very popular, very, very popular Arab journalist. Somebody said it on Twitter. They took away like an icon, That's what happens when you try to expose their brutality, and you try to report on Israeli crimes. They'll kill you for it. They will literally kill you, or fire you, or brand you an anti-Semite, ruin your career, smear you, all sorts of things. And there they can get away with it, right? Much more easily. Because they have the media to back them. This is what happens when you have such a behemoth behind you. New York Times, Reuters, doing the dirty work for you, you know? Again, I'm not saying everybody who works there is a bad person, but generally speaking, the conventional wisdom is that let's always give Israel the benefit of the doubt. And let's just say it's both sides, right? Trying to make it complicated. It's really, I cannot believe this. I bet you if you go to Shireen's body or Ali over here and you look at the bullet that's lodged in him or lodged in her, you will find Israeli munitions that the Israelis use, whether I don't know that's NATO rounds or whatever they use to fire at them. No question. Like we're supposed to buy this excuse, but Palestinians are shooting. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So I'm very upset about this and angry. And I was streaming for 5 hours and I came back to talk about this because I couldn't stay silent and wait and talk about it. I wanted to. Right. So much for freedom of the press and Israeli democracy, right? And women's rights. This is what Israel thinks of journalists, right? They will literally blow your face off if you cover their crimes. And they know that they're journalists, right? They know that Shireen was wearing press. All her colleagues were wearing press. They had helmets on and they still shot her in the face and they murdered her. That's premeditated. That is intentional. Okay? The Israelis, they love to say, oh, we have the best army in the world. We have all this amazing technology. We are so big-brained. And then you're telling me they can't tell the difference between a journalist that's clearly marked, a journalist, press with a helmet and blue gear, and whoever else they're supposedly conducting an operation on? Get out of here. Do you think I am 5 years old? Do you think I'm a sucker? I'm not buying this garbage. Maybe someone who watches CNN will buy this garbage. I'm not buying this garbage, and I'm certainly not selling it to you guys. You have witness testimony from multiple of her colleagues, all saying the exact same thing. The Israelis purposely shot at us. They purposely killed Shireen. And if she was a Ukrainian journalist that was killed by the Russians, they would be screaming on CNN right now and the New York Times, and they would publish 50 goddamn editorials and opinion pieces and everything that would flood the goddamn news cycle with how Russia is murdering journalists to stop them from covering its crimes. And the Russians are misogynists because they go after women specifically. And, you know, speaking of that, I would love to know where these women's groups are, these women's rights groups and these Western feminists. They love to pretend they care about women, and then when Palestinian women are being shot and murdered doing their jobs, they have nothing to say. They have always nothing to say. And when the Palestinian women are being beaten outside the Aqsa Mosque, they have nothing to say. Like cowards, they are gone. You don't hear anything from them, right? Disgusting. The double standard, disgusting. Every single day, you know, going and seeing another, this Palestinian boy was killed. Oh, this Palestinian journalist beaten. Every single day they have some new story of how they're brutalizing the Palestinians. And all they know how to do in the media is this garbage, right? This garbage. Al Jazeera said one of its journalists was killed in the West Bank city. What does that mean, she was killed? She fell off a building? She was hit by a bow and arrow? Why can't you say she was shot dead by the Israelis? A few words. You can't write that. You're the record. You're the paper of record, and you cannot write a simple factual sentence. It's too hard for you. You don't want to upset your friends in Tel Aviv. You fucking spineless cowards. You pathetic excuses for a paper. You cowards. Wimps. All of them. Look, all of them. Every single one of them in their headlines hiding that Israel killed Shireen. These despicable wimps. They have no spine. They have no integrity. That's the difference, right? Shireen is a real journalist. These people are propagandists. They don't even have the common courtesy, the basic fucking decency to say that she was murdered by the Israelis. It's too complicated, right? Because then the narrative is going to change. You can't tell people the truth. You got to sell them the narrative. The Israelis are the victims. Oh, poor them with their nuclear weapons and $3.8 billion every year from the Americans. Oh, poor them. They're such a democracy, right? That's why they blew Shireen's face off while she was covering their crimes. Allah la yuwaffiqkum. I'm really upset about her. You know, this is really horrible. And you know, not just the Arab world or Palestine, but the whole field of journalism just lost a really, really good person. Allah yarhamah. So that's all I wanted to say, and I have to go now. Can I please just ask you guys one thing, to please share this video, or don't share the video, just tell people about her. Please tell people what happened. Just, you know, let people know. Because they would very much rather that people don't know. The Israelis would very much prefer that people don't find out. Again, that video was really horrible. It's so brutal, you know. It's so unnecessary, so unfair.